Welcome back to the Caregiver Minute, where every weekday family and professional caregivers gather to refine their skills, gain inspiration, and prepare to serve. One of the challenging realities of life is the reality of death. I've often joked with people that the number one cause of death is birth. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen to all of us. And when we realize that and embrace that fact and confront it, I think life becomes richer and more meaningful, and each day matters that much more. Well, a lot of family and professional caregivers serve people who are living with neurodegenerative diseases or other conditions that are either terminal in and of themselves or they lead to a terminal state. And so one of the most common questions I get asked is, when should we get a hospice agency involved? Or should we get a hospice agency involved? There's a lot of misconception out there about what hospice agencies do. Many people, for example, think that a good hospice team swoops in at the last moment when someone is actively dying, and they provide comfort measures and they support the family and help with final arrangements. Well, hospice teams can do that, and they are very helpful in those final stages of life. But I think it's more important to get them involved earlier on. I've often talked about a good hospice team and other care professionals in general as like adding layers of support. When someone is living independently and they can take care of their own needs, think of that person as like a single point. And if they develop a condition where they can't fully meet their own needs and they need some more support, maybe the first group that surrounds them, like a concentric circle around that point, is a family. And that family provides support and guidance and help to them. But at some point, the family might not be enough. We might need another layer of support. And so you might add a professional team. It might be a personal care agency that helps out in the home. It might be an assisted living community or a skilled nursing facility. But it's like adding another ring of support. And that doesn't mean that the family is suddenly unimportant, or that the individual doesn't have responsibilities or capacity to do whatever he or she can do for themselves. But eventually, we need more assistance. And at some point, that professional assistance isn't as much as would be helpful. And that's when you would call in a hospice team. And the hospice teams would support the skilled nursing or assisted living or PCS agency and the family and the individual. I like that concept of concentric circles, adding layers of support, because it conveys the idea that when you add a layer, you're not getting rid of the earlier layers, you're just buffering the person that much more. When someone is getting closer to end of life, and it's likely that they might pass within a few months, it's valuable to get a hospice team involved at a point that the individual patient, that point in the circle, can form a relationship of some sort with the hospice team. It's helpful if the social worker has time to get to know the person, and if the nurse and case manager has an opportunity to get to know that person a little bit more and find out what matters to them. It's helpful if the family gets to know the professionals involved, so that when things get really challenging, as the person starts to actively die and emotions run a little bit higher and it's just harder, that relationships are more firmly established, connections are there, and people feel more confident in those moments, opening up and being real about everything that's going on in an end-of-life kind of situation. Whether you're serving someone living in the home or you're a healthcare professional, I hope these thoughts about hospice give you a framework that help you better understand it and, more importantly, help you be able to talk about it to other people that are engaged in supporting the person or people that you're serving right now. I think when we're able to have these kinds of conversations in an open way, we're more likely to proactively reach out and get the help that we need. And I encourage you, if you think that someone that you're serving might be getting toward end of life and you wonder if they might qualify for a hospice service, reach out to some agencies, interview them, get to know them, find out who their team members are. And I promise you that they'll be willing to do an evaluation and help you know if it might be time to get the team involved and add that additional layer of support. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another episode of the Caregiver Minute.